So Until Dawn was directed by David F. Sandberg, and it's about a group of, I believe, college kids. They're looking for one of their siblings who's missing and such. They wind up at a house, and they soon realize that this house is filled with a lot of monsters and such. Basically, the monsters kill them, and they have to relive the events of the night. And there's a different monster every night, I guess. And we have a movie that is not really about Until Dawn at all. So I'm gonna be honest. I never played the Until Dawn game. It wasn't until I saw the trailer and I was told that this is not like Until Dawn at all, and that the actual game itself is very different from what the movie is doing. It's not necessarily a time loop per se. It's something completely different. But I was only kind of intrigued, mainly because David F. Sandberg is directing this movie. If you don't know who he is, he's a director. He directed Lights Out. He directed the only good Annabelle movie, Annabelle Creation. He also directed the two Shazam movies, which I liked Shazam 1, Shazam 2, not so much. But I was still only kind of curious because he was involved, because, like, he can at least do horror movies. Even in Shazam, there were a couple horror elements in it. But let's see how this movie is. And if I'm being honest, this movie was dull. I could not care less about this movie if I tried. This movie is unengaging, it's uninspired. It reminded me of other better movies, if I'm being honest, and it kind of reminded me of those movies. It's like, maybe I should go watch those movies again instead of this. Is there anything in this movie that does work? Some of the monsters themselves look kind of cool. The atmosphere is decent at times, and also the house itself looks kind of cool. Kind of made me want to explore it a little bit. But other than that, I could not care less about this movie. All the actors in this movie, while I wouldn't go as far as to say they're bad, they're just very bland. They're very one note. They're not. There's a difference between writing character and writing characters. Like, the characters in this movie don't really have much character. They don't really have much of a personality. They don't really have anything interesting going on in their lives. They're just people who are kind of just trapped in this movie, and most of them I just felt like did not really need to be in this movie. They were very bland, very generic. Some of them try to be the comic relief, but none of them are actually funny. Yikes, they're pretty bad. They're pretty bland. Some of the blandest horror movie characters I think I've seen in a while. Also, the time loop premise, it's been done to death before. And, I don't mind a time loop movie every once in a while. Groundhog Day, obviously. Happy Death Day, which I thought looked stupid at first, was actually decent. This movie, I'm just so sick of it in this movie. Like, there's no reason for this movie to have a time loop premise. Like, there's one moment in the movie where one of the characters who's supposed to be the comic relief makes a reference to time loop movies, and it's kind of a joke. It's like, someone else makes a reference, and it's like, oh, okay, it's like, oh, that's like the time loop movie, and they go, there's a lot of time loop movies. It's like, okay, is this movie going to be a commentary about time loop movies and how they're all just the same? No, that's the only meta joke, is that time loop movies are frequent. That is crappy meta commentary. Wow. I could not believe it. It's like, this movie, yeah, the movie has no commentary whatsoever. There's no real personality to this movie either. Honestly, I couldn't tell at times what kind of movie this wanted to be. Did it want to be serious? It definitely wanted to be as serious. It wanted to take it as seriously as possible. And I kind of wish this movie kind of took a direction where it's like, okay, after that first trailer came out and they kind of leaned into the ridiculousness of it, I could have enjoyed it a little bit more, because at least it would have been uniquely bad and memorably bad instead of forgettably bad, which this movie is. Like, remember how in that first trailer they're like, if we want to survive, we have to make it until dawn. It's like, that is so stupid. And that is so uniquely stupid for a movie like this. And yet, they decide to actually remove that line from the movie, and I'm like, you should have just kept that line. That would have been hilarious. That would have been like that line from Madame Web where it's like, she was researching spiders in the Amazon right before she died. Whatever that line was that they cut out of the movie. That would have at least been funny. This movie is very bland. This movie has no real personality whatsoever. And I kind of thought of myself this after watching the movie. It's like, I was thinking of the Cabin in the Woods a lot. Like, how that movie had like a bunch of different monsters, and kind of like when you found out what this movie was really about and such. There was some sort of commentary to that about horror movies in general, and I feel like that movie was at least effective, where it's at least it made a commentary about the characters in horror movies, about the tropes in horror movies. But this movie kind of just says, let's just go through the motions instead of trying to say anything. Oh, we are going to say something briefly, but we're not going to go that far into it. And, I could talk about, how this is not really the Until Dawn premise, and it's like, okay, it does kind of sound interesting, like the actual game premise and such. So why did they make this movie out of it? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I feel like what might have happened was that they saw this script and they were like, we don't know what to do with this. We just had the script lying around. Well, we could call it Until Dawn, even though it doesn't really have anything to do with Until Dawn, and just throw Peter Stormare in this because he voices a character in that game and such. All right, let's greenlight it. Let's not put a lot of money into it. Let's not put a lot of effort into it. And no matter how much this movie makes, we will make a profit off it. Well, it really didn't, because it only made like $8 million in its opening weekend. Who would have guessed that making a movie with the name of an established franchise and then not having a lot from that established franchise would not work? Meanwhile, to make matters worse, the movie's just not very scary. I don't know if I'm just horrored out in general, but like nothing in this movie's really that scary. Nothing in this movie's really that disturbing. Like it does have good build up, but like the actual payoffs are just not that interesting. The jump scares are pretty lackluster. This movie is dull. This movie is not very engaging. It's not very interesting. It's like I don't even know who this movie is for, really. If you like Until Dawn, you might not like this movie because it doesn't really follow the lore. And if you're not an Until Dawn fan, but you are a horror movie fan, you're not going to like it because you've seen all this stuff before. So, no one really. No one's really going to like this movie. So what is the point? Until Dawn has a few creative monsters and at least okay atmosphere, and the production design of the house is alright, but literally everything else, it doesn't look great. The score is just okay. The actors themselves are just very boring and generic and such. There's no character between them. There's no real motivation for this movie at all. The time loop premise is boring. The personality is just out of whack. I couldn't tell if it was like being serious or funny at times. And if it went in that so bad it's good direction, I would have maybe appreciated it a little bit more. But if I'm being honest, you could watch Cabin in the Woods, get a lot more of it. You'll be scared more, you'll laugh more, you'll actually learn something about horror movies instead of Until Dawn, which learned nothing. I'll give Until Dawn 1 out of 4 stars. Skip it. I know that a lot of people really seem to think this movie was okay, but honestly, I was just so bored by this movie that I don't think I can really recommend it. So, what is a video game that you want to see on the big screen? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.